Greetings. This is Camson. I would like to share an energy update, and I'm going to channel a message that I received. I just awakened from a dream that began with a meditation I have been walking myself through before bed to set myself up for the next day. In this channeled message, I will go over the lessons that I have learned from working with the tools I have been given. And many of these tools have significantly reduced anxiety, worry, depression, and fear. I believe that many of us going through the awakening right now, and if you are listening to me, hello, turns into grand risings. We are shifting from hell. We are shifting from being low, and we are rising into a grand new verse within the song our souls came to sing. As we are going deeper into these transformations being activated, we are shedding skin like a snake that no longer serves us. Yesterday, my daughter had an extreme stomach flu. And when I say extreme, I mean a very high fever, projectile vomiting, and this was pretty much a 24-hour process. I worked on her with the tools that I've mentioned before, and the tools that we have been using in the chakra camps, in the 3D Matrix Exit course, and in the religious detox course for those of us that are healing some of the wounds that were created in religion that may be attached to being abused, discarded, and many other things that have happened on this planet in regards to sexual abuse, trauma, being outcasted, being forced to be baptized, being forced to be taking blood into your mouth of this being and eating the being's body in the form of bread. For some of us, that was a traumatic event. And a lot of us may have compartmentalized it as the brain does to protect us. In this sickness, I saw this symbology of spiritual, emotional, and mental illness. Without purging, it becomes difficult to manifest the things that we often desire but seem to have difficulty attaining, or we attain it but it's difficult to sustain. For many of us, this is happening first within our relationship to ourself. Loving ourselves on the surface is pretty easy, but loving yourself beneath the surface of who the world know you to be, your family, friends, and co-workers, and even your own self. A lot of us are recreating a new version of us, which requires a purge of old patterns, old coping mechanisms, and old ways of treating ourselves. The fever was a reminder of the body's innate ability to protect us. And in that innate ability to develop a higher temperature within the body, there is destruction of pathogens that prevent us from being well. For anyone that has plant medicine experience, oftentimes the purging is necessary to get well, to get better. Many of us have difficulty letting go of things. And when we do not allow things to no longer be anchored in our reality because we're holding on to something else, we're in a state of resisting the very thing that we called for to assist us, because maybe it showed up in a way that is difficult to accept. So the fever is the heat of life circumstances. It is the fire in which many of us have been walking through. It is the furnace that turns up inside of us to burn away what no longer serves. This isn't something that requires a lot of effort. Once the physical body acknowledges an invader or something destructive within us, its innate ability takes over and allows the environment to no longer support the pathogens, the viruses, the bacteria. In this observation, I discovered some simplicities that can be used for pretty much anything in your life that you are ready to release. The first thing that we can do is first acknowledge the patterns, the beliefs, the way that we criticize ourselves, the way that we allow fear to paralyze us. In acknowledging that, you are releasing the resistance to the things that are on their way into your reality. By releasing the attachment of being right, perfect, flawless, right? You invite beauty, I would even say miracles, into your life. And when you are a vibrational match for a miracle, by reconstructing your mindsets, your routine that is used daily, and discipline to be consistent, showing up for yourself, giving to yourself the love that maybe you searched for outside of you. This is an inner work. This is not changing anything in your external life. All of this is done within. I realize that having gratitude for acknowledging the shadow aspects creates a harmonious environment within. The fires of life are not meant to destroy our life, but only to destroy that which may be destructive to us. As I sat with her with this fever, I reflected on the ways that life has been a furnace for me. I began to cry tears of joy and gratitude for the opportunities that came into my life in a package that we call problems. Perceived problems are actually opportunities for us to reach a higher level of understanding. This higher consciousness anchors us onto the new earth. This isn't a physical change in location, but an energetic change of perspective, which will eventually shift the matter, the physical objects within our reality. What we think on the most creates what the universe reflects back to us. This is one of the laws of the universe in action. And in our relationships, neurologically, this is the ability to have resonance and rapport. So once you are accepting these parts of you and no longer feeling the need to hide these parts of you, you become liberated from the constraints of ego. A side note that I would like to add is that the ego is an ally to the person who realizes that everything in your life was for you. Every fire in your life was for you. This level of acceptance, acknowledgement, and gratitude creates the alchemy of life. And in this place, we begin to transcend our trauma, transcend our triggers and patterns. that are expired. I was careful during this time to ensure I didn't reach for an old tool. That old tool could have been acetaminophen or ibuprofen, things to stop the fever. Most of us were raised and taught that this is the way to get better. Recently, there have been reports showing connections between certain chemicals and autism. So many of us are experiencing the effects of some of these chemicals, and not just external chemicals, but the ones that we create within our mind. By resisting reaching for Tylenol and ibuprofen, I had to face the fear of failing. The 3D version of myself went on and on and on about me not making the best decision for her. And I could hear this voice so clearly. And there was a moment that I reached into the medicine cabinet, and there was this bottle of Tylenol in there, and I said, you know what? Maybe I can just go ahead and give it to her, and everything will be okay. So I grabbed my handy dandy pendulum, which is a very, very effective tool. And I asked, is this the most beneficial decision for her? Each time my pendulum said no. And as this was happening, I could still hear the old me say, you can't trust the pendulum. Trust me. This is what your parents did, and this is what you should do as well. I turned the bottle around and saw the expiration date. It had long expired. In this moment, I realized that there are a lot of ways we have been groomed to believe that had long expired. The age of Pisces energy was made up of believing and faith. It wasn't a balance of intuition and logic. The age of Pisces was pretty much logic and belief, and that determined the creations in our lives. Now that we are in the new galactic years, the new age depicted by the Mayans and many other ancient cultures, expired habits, patterns, and coping mechanisms can actually do more harm than benefit to us and those that we love. So I took the bottle and I gave the bottle a ceremony. This went like this. Thank you for showing up in my reality. There were moments in my past that I feel you were helpful, However, this is an expired tool. I thank you. I am grateful for the lessons that I learned, and I release you. I disposed of it. As I went back upstairs, I felt a quantum shift occurring from making that one decision to use a new tool that is based on energy. Okay? Releasing the old tool that was created by fear, chemicals, and greedy corporations, power structures that may or may not have been intentional, but is no longer serving us. To release it with gratitude allowed the quantum shift to occur. As soon as I got upstairs, my vision was brighter. Colors were more prominent and radiant. It was so astounding to see myself shed another layer of skin, to remove the veil over my eyes, to see the truth. I grabbed my essential oils, my dragon potion for protection, my selenite Kamsa crystal, and I sat there with her for about 5 hours, tending to her, performing energy healing on her, doing breath work with her, using my body as the conductor of the healing energy that is within and innate. My ancestral intelligence became more prominent than the artificial intelligence created by the social constructs of the 3D matrix. I faced my fear of failing as a mother. I faced my fear of failing as a healer. On the other side of that, there was the miracle right there, waiting for me to acknowledge the miracle. In the past, I would have begged and pleaded for a miracle. Instead, I became the co-creator of a miracle. This is growth. This is the impact of consistently using new tools, having the courage to release old tools that have expired. Her fever began to come down about the 7th hour. I went back to the year 7, which we are in now, numerologically. And I spoke words out of my mouth that would permeate the atmosphere with love, unconditional. I wasn't overly attached to the outcome, because by being over-attached to the outcome, I am now exalting the 3D programs that have expired. I was completely okay with it not going the way I visualized it to go, because there was this innate voice reminding me, no matter what happens, everything is working out for our betterment. The law of detachment allows us to be thermostats in our environment instead of thermometers, living in reaction to everything else, giving away our power to the external things that upset us, frustrate us, and draw our attention to the old that no longer serves. As I proceeded to wipe her down with a mixture of coconut oil, eucalyptus, it occurred to me that I grew up in a generation of using the mentholated petroleum gel-based salve. I had a bottle, but when I reached for it, the exact same thing happened when I reached for the other bottle. And I'm not saying that you should do any of this, because should causes suffering. But I am saying that having difficulty trusting yourself to make the most effective decision can sometimes lead to us not making any decisions. And by refusing to make a decision, we create from our unconsciousness. And anytime we avoid doing something that we know deep inside it is time for us to make a decision about, we're anchoring ourselves in the sunken place. There is nothing outside of us more powerful than us, because what is within us is the same energy that created this universe. It is the same energy that creates beautiful stars that give us light in the darkness through the night until the sun rises another day. One of the most profound occurrences was the expanded ability to use my free will in a way I had not used before at this level of trust in the process of knowing, not believing simply, but knowing that all things work for our benefit. I knew without a shadow of doubt, because the voice of doubt was not the voice that I allowed to be my advisor. So it was there, but I could choose what voice I listened to. The next thing that I did was using the selenite, which is very powerful to heal anything on any level. This is one of the most, it has a lot of uses, right? And some crystals are like just multi-dimensional in the potential of what they can do. Much like quartz crystal or a white candle that can be used side by side with any intention, co-creating outcomes But the key is to be unattached, trusting that whatever the outcome is, all is well. This is the key. I have been an expert. Do you hear me? I mean expert at worrying. In this moment, I held this stone in my left palm, which is the feminine, receptive side of our body. The texture and the smoothness of the backside of the stone soothed my nervous system, and it calmed me down. The Kamsa or Hamsa, also called the hand of Fatima symbol on the front side, is a sacred geometric shape that creates protection. So I was protecting this new way of interacting and interfacing with myself. And this means not just the conscious 5% of myself, but the 95 subconscious, unconscious part of myself. They are also called worry stones because the tactile sensations help to anchor you in the present moment. And you rub the stone as you are speaking your intention, being deliberate in the reality you are co-creating. Within minutes, the worry dissipated. I spent most of my life using many different things to help relieve me from worrying. Some of those things were distractions, finding something to do, somewhere to go, something to drink, something to eat, someone to have sex with, a party to go to, and just drink myself into a stupor where I didn't have to feel the experience of worry. Sometimes in the past, I would pray in these moments. However, in hindsight, when I reread the prayers that I wrote, I see the fallacy in the prayer itself. Things like, please help me to stop worrying. Take this away from me. I didn't know that something cannot be taken from me unless I release it and let it go. Our words are powerful manifestors. In minutes, I accomplished what I could not accomplish with old tools in the past across at least 40, 35, I would say, years. Because around the age of 7, I began to develop anxiety, worry, and depression. I will be 44 soon. So this is a lot of practice that I've had with worry. Once my vibrational frequency was modulated, I went back into her room. I cleaned up the vomit. I cleaned her up. I was less irritated by it. Even though I had some stuff going on myself, I was at peace with being in service. I wasn't worried about her or anything else. This peace that surpassed my understanding was cultivated by the new tools, the new verses of the song my soul came to sing in the form of petitioning, meditation, prayer, affirmations. The follow-through of the action was the signed, sealed, and delivered message to the universe that I am ready to expand. I believe, I know, therefore I am the most powerful version of myself in this moment. Trauma or PTSD or complex PTSD or borderline personality disorder or bipolar symptoms or narcissistic traits, being defensive, combative, the inability to regulate our emotions, the inability to tell ourselves a new story. These things are invisible prisons. And I say invisible because most oftentimes it is outside of our perspective and ability to see things peripherally. So the 95% of us that is subconscious, unconscious, would be the spaces that require a more peripheral vision to see a bigger picture. I asked my pendulum, would it be beneficial to now give the selenite worry stone to her so that she doesn't worry? And my pendulum said no. To my surprise, the pendulum said no. It was one of the quickest, most powerful no's I had received all day. And I was like, whoa, this was even bigger than the other tools I was reaching for. And you're saying no to something that's a new tool, right? And I was like, I'm confused. Help me to understand this no. I held my pendulum in my hand, and I was working with the citrine Merkaba pendulum at this time. My I Divine Self said to me, Kamson, there is no need to project your fear of failure onto her. By giving this to her, you are negating from the fact that you are the thermometer in the 3D thinking, but you shifted to be the thermostat in the 5D consciousness. Now it's up to you. But if you don't trust the experience you had before this to be sufficient, you are projecting your fear of her becoming a worrier onto her, thus reaffirming the traumatic transgenerational potential to worry. This was such a profound moment. And this is the reason that we perpetuate the very thing that we no longer desire to be a participant in, It is the subconscious unconscious that projects itself into whatever we are dealing with in the present moment. And what happens is you reach back to the past and you pull the 3D pattern back into your present moment, and now you're out of alignment. You're no longer in the vortex. You are no longer guiding your spiritual vehicle, which is represented by the Merkaba. So, I had a choice. Trust my divine self voice, or continue to do what I have always done in the past. And I chose to trust the process. I chose to trust the work that I was doing prior to going back into her room to help her. As I sat there with the stone in my hand, my divine self said, now conduct this energy throughout your quantum field of consciousness. I pursued to do the 444 box breaths, more emotional regulation, grounding, filling my belly with the inhale, relieving me of fight or flight, which is an automatic response for someone who has complex PTSD and ultimately any form of trauma. When we're trying to survive, when we're in survival mode, we create things that may no longer be useful. As I did that, green flames formed all around me. I could feel the heat in my body. I started to tremble. I was sweating. I was cold. I was shaking. And I realized that my empathic abilities connected with her field, and there was a transference of that energy. The green flames was my heart, set on fire by the passion to be in service to my daughter and myself. Because any interaction with another human being impacts both human beings on some level or another. And for many years, I struggled and I hated the fact of being an empath and a highly sensitive person at the same time. That was so frustrating for me, because I would absorb energies from people who didn't even ask for my help. I was just a walking sponge, bobbing through life, living in the underworld, not realizing that there was a whole other world available to me. These green flames expanded with each breath because I deliberately set the intention for each breath to expand that quantum field around me, created by brain-heart coherence. All of us can do this, and all of us naturally do this. But when you add intention, trust, supported by spiritual tools, you are able to have a much larger reach coming from your heart. I was a bit surprised by how simple and effective this was. And in this moment, I felt the grief and the pain anybody in general who has sat with someone sick or even on their deathbed. And I began to send that green flame out across the whole entire planet. Tears began to swell up in my eyes. This is something that's so close to my heart. Being born with sickle cell anemia created a strong sense of the capacity to turn our shadows into superpowers, to turn our illnesses into tools to inspire, enlighten, and encourage others. I was so grateful for being born the way that I was. And this has been decades in the work that I've been doing on myself that accumulated. And in this moment, I again had a choice to either remain in a 3D consciousness or shift higher into 5D. That flame burned. It burned bright. I visualized people, children, recovering from all types of illnesses and viruses, cancers, pain, the loneliness that sometimes comes with it, the bullying that sometimes comes as a result of having a disability or an illness. When I talk about gangster gratitude, this is what I mean. When you can look back into your past and feel gratitude despite the difficulties. Power returns to your present moment based on how you perceive your past. My perception of my past is no longer from a state of victimhood. It cultivates more gratitude to perceive it with my third eye. I was able to withstand the trembling, the shakes, the sweat, the fever for about 8 hours straight. Soon after, I felt as if the work was complete. I called in the guides, the spirit guides, our spirit animals, our divine selves, to anchor this energy on the planet for Mama Earth, thanking her, giving so much thanks for her allowing us to have this human experience. I released the green flame by speaking, "It is done, so mote it be. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe." She didn't throw up again after this. All of the tools that I use were tools that came into my life after I awakened and what became receptive, right, to the changes necessary for me to be a better version of myself. Sometimes we have the tools, but we don't have the discipline. We may lack the trust in the tools. And then if we use them in that vibrational frequency, the outcome may not be beneficial. And that's not a negative thing to hate or be disgusted by or to fear. It is simply a reflection of where you are. And once you can accept that, then you can take the steps to where you desire to be. Shortly after this, she said to me, "Mama, life feels so unfair to me right now. I can't breathe. Each breath feels like I'm gonna throw up again. I can't eat. I can't stop shaking. I can't walk, Mama. You're gonna have to carry me." And I said, "Okay, baby. I got you. And you have a right to feel that way. Mommy has felt that way before many times. But I want you to trust me. I want you to trust the Creator. Trust our guides. Trust in the goddesses that Mommy has been teaching you about and the way that they created so many forms of healing. This is going to go so beautifully for you." And she laid in my arms and she said, "Thank you, Mama." In this moment, I realized that not only did I quantum shift myself into a higher version of me, but I became a support system for her to be validated, to be loved unconditionally, and to learn how to trust the process. Through me showing up and being the role model to her, instead of barking at her, yelling at her, being frustrated with her, telling her what to do. And in that moment I said, this is what transcending transgenerational trauma looks like. This wasn't the first time, but this was definitely one of the most profound exams of life. To feel that A+ written with red ink, carrying the frequency of red, which is akin to the root chakra. Not only was I safe, not worrying, not anxious, but so was she. I was able to conduct that energy into her quantum field. "18 hours later, I laid down after making some ashwagandha tea, which also helps the nervous system to regulate, to heal. I placed my hands on her because she couldn't sleep. And I told her, I trust that you will sleep and you will wake up feeling so much better. And she looked at me and she said, okay, Mom, I trust you. You are a great healer, Mama. Thank you. This was so much growth happening. Because as a child, I'm getting a little emotional here. And that's okay. As a child, the only tools given to me when I was sick are tools that I have now learned are toxic to the human body when used for an extended period of time. And my goal was to learn how to heal without those tools. So I became a certified herbalist. I made sure that I practiced anything that I taught. I made sure that I kept a mindset that was supportive and not just life draining. And I got a chance to feel the fruits of those labors. I knew that I was capable. The voice of doubt at this point was completely muted. Before I fell asleep, I walked myself through another visualization that I use in certain circumstances, but oftentimes every day, every night. I spend at least an hour at the beginning of my day and at the end of my day meditating. The intention with this visualization was to continue to quantum shift, to reality transsurf myself into a timeline that I know I am worthy of experiencing. I dropped my anchor into Mama Earth's heart, her core, and I saw all of the versions of me. I gave love and gratitude for every version of me. I saw the younger me smiling. She was proud of what I had done. That thing that she wished she could have experienced as a kid, she finally experienced through me, consciously parenting my daughter, but also consciously reparenting myself. I created security for every version of me. And this is the benefit of working with the root chakra, which ultimately is where the inner child lives. This is where we create our life from, because this is the foundation of whatever is in our life. Remember the red A+ that was shown to me when I passed this exam. And I said to myself, oh my goodness, A+ written in red ink. Red symbolizes the root chakra. As I heal her, I also heal me. As I heal me, I also heal her. Since everything is connected, we are all connected. When we do this work within our own realm of existence, we create a grid that is anchored in higher consciousness, unconditional love, no longer living in survival mode. Knowing exactly what it takes to nourish ourselves until the new version of ourselves is the dominant voice that guides us. The higher self, our divine self, Ori, the Shin, inner being, goes by many names. One thing is for certain. When life presents challenges, choosing to visualize the challenge as something that is taking you into the space of your heart's calling powerfully shifts our reality, because we are choosing to be peaceful. We are choosing to trust and not worry. We are choosing to love and not judge. I burned a black candle. Add some root chakra potion that contains all the crystals and the herbs necessary for this work. I sent my petition out into the spirit realm to release what no longer serves, to fortify my root chakra in divine alignment. I placed a rose quartz and a kunzite crystal under my pillow. Both are extremely powerful to support self-love. As the black candle burned, I visualized anything that no longer serves me also burning away. Because the key to success is not having more. The key to success is being grateful for what you have, even if it seems less than what you need. I felt the negative energy go into a vacuum, and it was sucked into the abyss to be transmuted by Source, the creator of all things, the energy of prime creation, to be transmuted into something beautiful and beneficial to all beings. If you resonated with this and you are ready to create new verses supporting the song your soul came to sing, visit our store. You can purchase anything that resonates, but particularly if your inner child wounds have been showing up, if your subconscious programming you are recognizing to be outdated and expired, in need of an update, if you are on the journey of reparenting yourself, this full moon energy will amplify any intention set. So take your time, look around, see what resonates, and create your own system. Create a toolkit that supports the new version of you. Simplicity is key for the year of 7. We have been through a lot in the last 2 years, and the fire is purging so much from us. the fire of Betelgeuse, the dying star that seems to never die, even when astrophysicists think that it will, is also supporting us. The 6 solar sun cycle, sending in plasma energies to assist us in rebirth, connecting with the life force energy, assisting us to transform, to be reborn, to shed the skin that got you to this point. But it is time to be shed. On the other hand, if this was helpful for you, help others by sharing this message. Connect to the energy of creating joy, love, and a sacred space of non-judgment. And just by doing that one thing, you are also creating new earth energy for us to exist in, for our children to have as the spiritual legacy that we pass down to them. And if you don't have children, your own inner child deserves to feel safe, to know that you can be trusted. These things will shift your reality with less effort and more miracles that you are co-creating. And before I end this, I want to say one last thing. You don't have to buy anything from us. This is of service and a benefit for all. If this was all that you required, that's beautiful as well. Do what works for you and listen to your intuition as well. Because your voice and your perspective matters. We are all students of life. I am not perfect, and I have many more lessons to learn. However, I'm in integrity to become the best version of myself and to extend the wisdom from the experiences to the world. Thank you for those who are donating $1 a month to us on Patreon. I add things to that tier a few times a month, if not more, with messages, insight, Akashic downloads to assist you in your activation of your I Divine Self. We are crowdfunded, and being monetized can sometimes be difficult for people who provide services like this. Thank you. You are supporting the work to continue and expand. For those of you on any of the other tiers, I extend the same gratitude to you as well. I recently posted a message for you and some information and videos and lectures and humorous things and rituals that you can use for your own healing ceremonies, creating routines that support you becoming the new version of you as well. I am humbled. I am deeply, deeply moved by the amount of people who are willing to invest time and energy into the work that we are doing as the chosen ones here to transcend transgenerational trauma. to transmute our triggers into potential for expanded experiences of love.